My father suffered a cerebral infarction requiring 140,000 yuan for emergency treatment. My husband only provided 14,000 yuan, coldly watching as I knelt and begged. Now, my father-in-law has late-stage lung cancer and urgently needs 500,000 yuan to save his life. My mother-in-law came crying to my door, smashing it to pieces. I calmly looked at them and handed over a bank card. Don't panic, there's 50,000 yuan in this card. We'll handle it according to the previous rules. Bang! 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 The heavy and frantic pounding on the door nearly shook the already old security door off its frame. The cheap reddish-brown wood-grain iron sheet on the door panel had already developed several glaring white cracks under the violent impacts. Outside the door, my mother-in-law Linda's wailing, cursing, and Eric's cold urging mixed together like a boiling, nauseating pot of soup. Vivian! You heartless, rotten-lunged woman! Are you trying to kill our whole family? Open the door. Open it for me. My dad is lying in the hospital, about to die, and you're hiding inside like a coward. Are you even human? Vivian, I'll count to 3. If you don't open the door, I'll take it off. Eric's voice followed, carrying a furious threat. I stood barefoot on the cold living room floor, still wearing a thin nightgown. The wall clock's hour hand had just pointed to 10 o'clock at night. I had just returned from the night shift less than an hour ago, with my bath only half finished, when I was startled by this commotion. Water droplets fell from my hair tips, hitting my collarbone and causing a chill, but I felt nothing. My entire world had completely frozen the moment they first pounded on the door. I methodically dried my hair, changed into clean home clothes, and then walked to the door. Through the peephole, I could see Linda's face twisted in agitation, covered in tears and snot, her mouth opening and closing, spewing the most vicious curses. Eric stood beside her, brows furrowed, looking impatient, holding his phone and occasionally kicking the door. This scene was strikingly similar to 3 months ago. Only then, the one kneeling on the ground begging was me, while they coldly observed and uttered hurtful words. I took a deep breath and suddenly pulled the door open. The inertia caused Linda, who was still pounding, to stumble and nearly fall in front of me. Once she steadied herself, she extended her withered hand like an eagle's claw toward my face. You jinx! Harbinger of death! I'll beat you to death. I sidestepped, and she lunged into empty air, becoming even more furious. Eric grabbed her and roared at me, Vivian, have you caused enough trouble? My dad has lung cancer, late stage. The doctor says it needs 500,000 yuan for chemotherapy. Hurry up and figure something out. His tone was not one of discussion but command, as if I were an erring subordinate and he the superior judge. Linda, held by him, continued to cry relentlessly, 500,000 yuan. Where can our family get 500,000 yuan? If something happens to his dad, I won't live either. Vivian, did you hear me? Seeing no reaction from me, Eric raised his voice again, sell your dad's house. Saving my dad's life comes first. My dad's house? I finally spoke, my voice calm like still water. That house was my parents' lifelong effort and now my father's only shelter. In my mind, uncontrollably flashed back to that afternoon 3 months ago. In the hospital's stark white corridors, the smell of disinfectant permeated the air. My father lay in the ICU, the doctor holding the critical illness notice, telling me immediate surgery was needed, costing 140,000 yuan. I knelt in front of the ATM, looking at the balance of only 20,000 yuan, trembling in despair. I called Eric, and he arrived leisurely after half an hour. Like grasping the last straw, I knelt before him, pulling his pant leg, crying and begging. Eric, please, save my dad. We're short by 120,000 yuan. Let's think of a way, we can definitely gather it. He looked down at me, his eyes showing no pity, only annoyance and calculation. He pulled a card from his wallet and threw it on the ground in front of me. There's 14,000 yuan in the card, which is 1/10 of our family's current savings. Vivian, we've only been married for 2 years, we have no obligation to support your father in his old age or see him through death. Providing this money is already the utmost benevolence. Whether your dad lives or dies, to put it bluntly, what does it have to do with our family? Don't embarrass yourself here, figure it out yourself. After saying that, he turned and left, leaving me kneeling on the cold tiles, crying until I lost my voice. My dignity, my father's life, in his eyes, were worth only 14,000 yuan. That day, my heart died. At this moment, looking at Eric and Linda's anxious yet entitled faces, a strange, vengeful pleasure arose from the dead ruins in my heart. I said nothing and turned to walk into the bedroom. Eric and Linda thought I had softened, their faces immediately showing triumph. Linda stopped wailing, tidied her disheveled hair, and straightened her back. Eric followed in, surveying the bedroom he once lived in, his eyes full of criticism and urging. I ignored them, went straight to the dressing table, and took a bank card from the bottom drawer. I walked back to the living room and handed the card to Linda. "There's money in here." I looked into her eyes and said slowly. Linda's triumphant expression instantly grew, and she snatched the card, as if afraid I would change my mind. "At least you have some conscience," she muttered. Eric also breathed a sigh of relief, his tone softening. "What's the password? How much is in it?" I calmly spoke, my voice not loud but clearly reaching each of their ears. "There's 50,000 yuan in the card, the password is your birthday." The air instantly froze. Eric's expression shifted from triumph to doubt, then disbelief, and finally to overwhelming anger. 50,000? He screamed, his voice changing pitch. "Vivian. My dad needs 500,000 yuan to save his life, and you're giving me 50,000? Are you dismissing a beggar?" His face flushed red, veins bulging on his forehead, like a beast ready to devour. I quietly watched him, observing his ugly face, and said word by word, "Your dad needs 500,000, I give 50,000. My dad needed 140,000, you gave 14,000. Eric, I've calculated it clearly. I'm completely following your family's rules, no more, no less, exactly 1/10. As my words fell, the living room was deathly silent. Linda held the card, her hand stiff in midair, her face drained of all color. Eric's eyes widened, his mouth open, but he couldn't say a word. Looking at their stunned, angry, humiliated yet irrefutable expressions, the pent-up resentment in my chest for 3 months finally released its first breath. It felt so good. "Vivian, you're fucking crazy." After the brief silence, Eric finally exploded, charging at me like an enraged bull, roaring. "We're husband and wife. Your money is my money. Hand over the other cards." His target was my wallet on the sofa. I was prepared. As he charged, I quickly stepped back, grabbed the glass on the coffee table, and without hesitation smashed it on the floor by his feet. Crack! The sound of glass shattering was crisp and piercing, fragments scattering. Eric's steps halted abruptly, he looked down at the chilling glass shards by his feet, and when he looked up at me, his eyes held fear. I held my phone, looking at him with cold eyes. "Eric, try it?" At this moment, I was unnaturally calm, but I knew my gaze must be terrifying, that of a beast cornered, ready to perish with the hunter. "Rebellion! Rebellion! This is outrageous." Mother-in-law Linda reacted and immediately started throwing a tantrum. She sat on the ground, slapping her thighs and wailing, "No justice. The daughter-in-law is forcing her in-laws to death. Everyone come see, this woman is vicious-hearted, leaving us no way to live." While crying, she incited Eric, "Why waste words on her? Hit her. If she doesn't give money, we'll stay here until death. See how she faces people later." "Stay?" I sneered and raised my phone. I pressed play. "Whether your dad lives or dies, to put it bluntly, what does it have to do with our family?" Eric's cold and harsh voice clearly came from the phone speaker, echoing in the silent living room. This was what he said when I called him desperately on the day my father was hospitalized. At the time, my phone was on speaker, and I silently saved this recording. I thought it would rot in my phone, becoming a lifelong nightmare I couldn't escape. Unexpectedly, today it became my weapon for counterattack. Eric's face instantly turned as pale as paper. The anger in his eyes was replaced by panic and shame. He jumped like a cat whose tail was stepped on, reaching to grab my phone. "Vivian, you dare!" I deftly dodged, my fingers quickly tapping the screen, pressing send. In a WeChat group called Loving Family, I steadily sent this recording. The group included in-laws, Eric, and his sister Kelly, who married far away and only said sarcastic things in the group. I could imagine Kelly's wonderful expression when she played the voice message. "You." Eric trembled with anger but was helpless against me. I didn't stop, swiped to the phone album, and showed him a screenshot. "We've been married for 2 years, your salary card has always been kept by your mom, saying it's to save for you. My monthly 5,000 yuan household allowance, plus various bonuses and subsidies, were all deposited into this joint couple's account. This card was agreed to be for our little family, for future children. Originally, there should be 100,000 yuan in it." Pointing to the glaring balance on the screenshot, my voice grew colder. "Now, tell me, why is there only 20,000 left? Where are the other 80,000? Eric's eyes began to dodge, stammering without words. What I? Mother-in-law Linda leaped up from the ground like a hen protecting her chick, hands on hips, interrupting. "Your sister-in-law is dating, and the in-laws want to see the dowry, we have to support her appearance. I took 80,000 yuan to buy her a car, to give her face in her in-laws' home, what's wrong with that? That's your sister-in-law. She's family. As her sister-in-law, you're quibbling over this money? Do you have any humanity?" "Oh?" I laughed as if hearing the biggest joke. "Humanity? Taking money to save my dad's life to buy your daughter a car for face, that's humanity? Your family is truly filial in a unique way." My words were like a knife, precisely piercing their last fig leaf. Linda's face turned liver red, but she still argued stubbornly, "How can that be the same? Your dad is a bottomless pit. Kelly is the face of our Sioux family." Enough. I didn't want to continue this meaningless debate. In front of their stunned faces, I opened the mobile banking app, fingers flying. Enter password, select transfer, input another account they never knew, click maximum amount. Within seconds, the remaining 20,000 yuan in that joint card, along with my just deposited salary from my payroll card, were all transferred clean. After doing all this, I pulled out the now empty joint card from my wallet and threw it at Eric's feet like trash. "From today on, you won't touch a cent of my money. If you want to save your dad, figure it out yourself. This marriage, we're divorcing for sure." After saying that, I didn't look at them again, turned into the bedroom, slammed the door with a bang, and locked it. Outside the door was Linda's even more frantic cursing and Eric's furious pounding. I leaned against the cold door panel, my body slightly trembling, not from fear, but from the shudder of a long-suppressed outburst. The feeling of tearing off the mask was fucking great. My counterattack had just begun. Eric and Linda eventually left dejectedly. Probably my resoluteness made them realize that further would gain them no benefits. Before leaving, Linda threw down harsh words. "Vivian, you wait. You're unkind, don't blame us for being unjust. There will be a time when you beg us." Through the door, I coldly replied, "I'm waiting." The following days, the house was unusually quiet. I thought they would think of other ways, but unexpectedly, they still targeted me, just in a more circuitous manner. On Monday morning, right after the morning meeting, Amy from the nurse station ran over, gossiping. "Head nurse, your mother-in-law and husband came, bringing your father-in-law. They just completed admission procedures, in bed 12 of our department." My hand holding the water cup paused, then returned to normal. "Got it. Head nurse, your mother-in-law can really yell." Amy lowered her voice. "Earlier in the corridor, she told everyone her daughter-in-law is our cardiothoracic surgery's top head nurse, asking us to take good care." I tugged at the corner of my mouth, showing a cold smile. "Take care? Of course, I'll take care." I put down the water cup, picked up the medical record folder, and walked toward bed 12. Before reaching the ward door, I heard Linda's loud voice from inside. Doctor, let me tell you, my daughter-in-law is the head nurse here, named Vivian. We're not outsiders, you have to give us the best medicine and arrange the best experts. The on-duty Dr. James in the ward looked helpless being pestered by her. Seeing me approach, he looked like he saw a savior. Head nurse Vivian, you're here. All eyes in the ward turned to me uniformly. Linda saw me, immediately piled on a hypocritical smile, warmly approached to pull my hand. Vivian, you're here. Quick, tell Dr. James to let your father-in-law stay in a single room. This triple room is too noisy, affecting rest. I expressionlessly avoided her hand, my gaze falling on the emaciated man on the bed. That was my father-in-law, George. He looked 10 years older than last time, his breathing heavy with wheezing, looking at me with a gaze mixed with plea and scrutiny. I ignored Linda, went straight to Dr. James, took the medical record from him. Dr. James, this is the patient in bed 12? My tone was businesslike, as if discussing a complete stranger. Dr. James was stunned for a moment, then cooperatively nodded, yes, head nurse Vivian. Patient George, diagnosed with late-stage lung cancer with mediastinal lymph node metastasis, vital signs are currently stable. Okay. I nodded, scanned the records in the medical file, then looked at Linda and Eric. According to hospital regulations, beds are uniformly assigned by the nurse station, currently no single rooms. If you have special needs, register at the nurse station, we'll notify an order when available. My voice wasn't loud, but clear enough for everyone in the ward to hear. Linda's smile froze on her face. Vivian, what do you mean? We. Also, I interrupted her, continuing in that emotionless tone, all treatment plans and medications are decided by the attending doctor based on the patient's condition and family's financial situation. Our hospital handles everything by the rules. After saying that, I returned the medical folder to Dr. James, nodded to him, Dr. James, thank you, communicate any situations at any time. Then, I turned and left without looking back. Behind me came Linda's voice suppressing anger, Vivian. You. Not long after, Linda wanted to cut in line to take father-in-law for enhanced CT. The nurse in charge of numbering was a new intern, flustered by her yelling. I happened to pass by, went straight over, and said to the intern, follow the numbering order, anyone who doesn't comply, note their name, cancel today's examination qualification. Then, looking at Linda, I calmly added, if there's any more behavior disturbing normal medical order, I'll call security directly. Linda shivered under my cold gaze, ultimately didn't dare to make more trouble, and sullenly took father-in-law back to the end of the line. In the afternoon, Eric came to find me. He blocked my office door, his face piled with an ingratiating smile I'd never seen. Vivian, still angry? We're family, don't be like this. He tried to pull my hand, but I sidestepped. If there's something, say it, I have a lot of work. I leaned on the doorframe, arms crossed, coldly looking at him. His smile stiffened, then he lowered his posture again. Vivian, look, my dad's illness. The doctor says there's an imported targeted drug that's very effective, but it's too expensive, and insurance doesn't cover it. Can you talk to the doctor, or use your internal staff identity to think of a way to make it cheaper? Looking at him, I suddenly found it ridiculous. When my dad was on the brink of death, he didn't even think of gathering money. Now his dad is sick, he remembers my internal staff identity, my connections. Truly a thorough selfish bastard. I picked up father-in-law's medical record from the desk, flipped to the latest page, and explained formulaically, all drug procurement and pricing are uniformly managed by the hospital pharmacy department, no one has the authority to discount. As for the medication plan, the attending doctor will give the most professional advice. The 20,000 yuan you prepaid for hospitalization, according to the current treatment plan, is only enough for the most basic domestic chemotherapy drugs and supportive treatment. I paused, looked up at his instantly pale face, and deliberately kindly reminded him, oh, right, I checked the expense details, your account balance is already less than 1,000. The payment office closes at 5:30, if you can't renew the fee today, according to regulations, tonight's medication may have to stop. Stop medication? Eric's voice trembled. How can it be so fast? Treatment costs for late-stage cancer are like burning money. I calmly closed the medical record and put it back. You should be mentally prepared for this. I watched him run dejectedly to the payment office, feeling no ripples in my heart. During evening rounds, I passed bed 12 and heard Linda complaining loudly inside. This bed is too hard. The food is like pig slop, hard to eat. The nurses all act like someone owes them money, with stern faces. I had the accompanying nurse bring a suggestion book and a pen, handed it to her. Auntie, our hospital highly values patients' medical experience. Any dissatisfaction, you can write it down in black and white, we'll discuss in a meeting and handle accordingly. I deliberately emphasized handle accordingly. Linda looked at the suggestion book, her face flushed, unable to write a word. She knew writing was useless. Here, I was the rule. Eric's family was tormented by various rules, exhausted and embarrassed. For the first time, they experienced how difficult it is in this vast and precise medical system without money or connections. This feeling, I was too familiar with. 3 months ago, when my father was hospitalized, I experienced it every day. Now, I was just letting them taste it authentically. Father-in-law's condition didn't improve at all due to my special care. On the contrary, under basic domestic drug treatment, his physical condition worsened day by day, tumor markers rising instead of falling. Expenses flowed out like water. Eric and his sister Kelly began frantically raising money. Eric sold his commuter car driven less than 3 years. Kelly tearfully sold the new car her mom bought her and several designer bags. They also sought all relatives and friends, humbly borrowing money. But cancer is a bottomless pit. The borrowed money thrown into the hospital didn't even make a splash. Their family visibly withered, enveloped in despair every day. And all this, I just watched coldly. That day, while Kelly rummaged through the house for passbooks, she inadvertently found a financial contract from an old file bag I had long forgotten deep in the bookshelf. That was the hook I deliberately left. A bank financial product bought 3 years ago, principal 500,000 yuan, with considerable annual yield. The contract clearly stated the maturity date next week. Principal and interest totaled a full 800,000 yuan. Kelly, seeing the contract, was first shocked, then ecstatic. Holding it like a life-saving imperial decree, she rushed to the hospital immediately. So, that afternoon, while I was organizing next week's surgery schedule in the office, the door was banged open. Eric, Linda, Kelly, the family of 3, rushed in like mad. This time, they even wheeled in the dying father-in-law George. A carefully planned sob story play was about to unfold. Vivian. Eric's eyes bloodshot, like a bloodthirsty trapped beast, he slammed the financial contract on my desk, paper scattering. You fucking explain this clearly. What is this? 800,000. You hid so much private money behind my back. His voice hoarse, filled with betrayed anger and greedy discovery of treasure. I didn't even lower my head to look at the contract, just lifted my eyelids, faintly looking at him. I smiled, with some sarcasm. Hide? Eric, I never hid it. I mentioned this investment when I bought it, you just didn't care. I leaned back in the chair, slowly saying, you only know I faithfully hand over 5,000 yuan monthly household money to your mom. As for my remaining salary, year-end bonus, paper patent rewards, night shift allowances, you've never cared a word. Because in your heart, I'm just a lousy nurse, no matter how hard I work, I can't earn much, right? You never thought that your wife, in your eyes just a nurse who only gives injections and dispenses medicine, is actually the youngest head nurse in this province's top private hospital, a department backbone who earns bonuses hand over fist. Each of my words was like a slap, fiercely hitting Eric's face. His complexion turned from red to white, then to green, a spectacular display. I stood up, looking down at their family. This money was earned through my own professional knowledge and hard work. Part as bonuses accumulated over years of work, part as patent rewards from published papers, and part as personal investment from money my parents left me. According to marriage law, This fully belongs to my premarital and personal property, with no relation to you or your Sioux family, not a cent. My words, like a basin of ice water, extinguished the hope just ignited in their eyes. No, impossible. Linda muttered, unable to accept the fact. Suddenly, as if thinking of something, her legs weakened, and with a thud, she knelt before me. She tightly hugged my leg, starting to wail. Vivian. My good daughter-in-law. Mom was wrong. Mom was blinded by lard before, treated you badly, please don't take it to heart. Look at your dad, he's almost gone. Have mercy, save him. This money, treat it as our couple's joint property. Saving life is urgent. Hugging my leg, her snot and tears all rubbed on my pant leg. This scene, how familiar. 3 months ago, I had knelt humbly before them. Now, the positions were reversed. I frowned in disgust, forcefully pulling my leg from her embrace. Due to excessive force, she stumbled and fell sitting on the ground. Looking down at her, my eyes without warmth. When my dad was dying, why didn't you say husband and wife are one? When I knelt begging you, where was your mercy? Now remembering we're husband and wife. Too late. I ignored Linda throwing a tantrum on the ground and shocked Kelly, my gaze shooting straight at Eric. From the desk drawer, I flung out several pre-printed A4 papers. The papers lightly fell at Eric's feet. On them in bold large letters, divorce agreement. Sign. My voice cold without emotion. This house was bought fully paid before marriage, my personal property. The agreement states clearly, you, Eric, leave with nothing. Within tomorrow, take your family and get out of my house. Eric seemed unable to believe his ears, trembling, he bent down to pick up the agreement. When he saw the clause male party voluntarily waives all property division, leaves with nothing, he completely collapsed. Vivian. You can't be so ruthless. Our years of marital affection. Affection? I interrupted him, laughing cruelly, you talk affection with me? Eric, everything I've done is just learning from you. It was you who personally taught me what indifference is, what rules are, what ruthlessness is. Eric ultimately didn't sign the divorce agreement. He started playing rogue. Vivian, you want divorce, fine. Split the house half, that 800,000 also half. Otherwise, I'll never divorce you. I'll drag you to death. He brought Linda and Kelly, squatting like nail households in my premarital apartment, refusing to leave. During the day when I went to work, they rummaged the house, making it a mess. At night when I returned, they took turns morally kidnapping and mentally tormenting me. Linda cried, made scenes, threatened suicide, Kelly sarcastically commented aside, Eric accused my cold-bloodedness like a resentful husband. Even worse, they took thee to my workplace. That noon, just out of the operating room, I saw Eric and Linda in the hospital lobby holding a banner. In shocking red letters, heartless pretty nurse, ignores husband's family in trouble, sits on millions watching death. Linda sat on the ground, crying to passing patients and families, accusing my crimes. Eric distributed printed big character posters aside, exaggerating how I mistreated in-laws, hid huge assets. Suddenly, I became the hospital's focus. Colleagues pointed at me, leaders' faces turned ugly. Eric thought public opinion could force me to submit. He underestimated me. I didn't cry or make a scene, didn't even argue. I just calmly took out my phone, dialed 911. Hello, police? I want to report. Someone is causing trouble in the hospital, seriously disturbing public order. Then, I went straight to the dean's office. Without much explanation, I presented all evidence saved on my phone one by one to the hospital leaders. There were screenshots of hospital surveillance when I knelt begging, Eric coldly refusing. There was the call recording where he said your dad's life or death has nothing to do with me. There was the family group chat record exposing him misusing 80,000 joint deposits to buy his sister a car. And photos of them now illegally holding banner in the lobby, disturbing order. Evidence conclusive, logic clear. The leaders were reasonable people, after seeing all evidence, their faces ashen. They immediately called the hospital security department. When police arrived, security had controlled the still tantruming Eric and Linda. Under hundreds of hospital onlookers, they were taken away for causing trouble, administrative detention for 5 days. When Eric was dragged out the hospital gate by 2 security guards, his face pale, utterly disgraced. He probably never thought I'd use such a clean way to make him lose more than he gained. Just when I thought I could have a few quiet days to focus on divorce matters, an unexpected person came to the door. It was a weekend afternoon. I was cleaning the room messed by Eric and them. The doorbell rang. Thinking it was Eric and them entangling again, I impatiently opened the door, but saw a strange young girl. She looked about 23 or 4, with exquisite makeup, wearing a tight dress, slightly bulging abdomen, holding a latest luxury bag. "You're Vivian?" She sized me up, her eyes with undisguised provocation and superiority. "Who are you looking for?" I frowned. "I'm looking for Eric." Saying that, she squeezed into my home, familiarly sat on the sofa. "I'm his girlfriend, name's Chloe." My mind buzzed. "Girlfriend?" Chloe seemed satisfied with my shock. She slowly took out an ultrasound sheet from her bag, slapped it on the coffee table. "I'm pregnant, 10 weeks, Eric's. Doctor says it's a boy." She looked at me smugly, like a peacock showing off trophies. I instantly realized. The missing 80,000 joint deposits weren't for Kelly's car. Or rather, not all. Most was spent on this Mistress Chloe. No wonder Eric refused to leave with nothing. He probably wanted to use property divided from me to support his new love and future son. At that moment, Linda, just released after 5 days detention, entered with groceries. Seeing Chloe at home, she was stunned, then cursed, "You shameless vixen. How did you find here? Trying to extort our family money?" Chloe wasn't afraid at all, shoving the pregnancy test sheet in her face. "Auntie, look clearly, I'm carrying your family's seed, Eric's son. He promised me, we'll divorce this old woman immediately, then marry me." Linda saw the male mark on the ultrasound, her eyes straightened instantly. Her patriarchal thinking was ingrained. 1 second glaring at Chloe, the next, her attitude turned 180 degrees. She carefully supported Chloe, her face blooming in smile. "Oh. My big grandson. Quick, sit properly, don't disturb the fetal chi." Her glare at me instantly filled with disdain and contempt. "Vivian, you heard? Our Sioux family has an heir. You barren hen, hurry divorce our Eric, don't occupy the latrine without shitting." Watching this absurd farce, my heart had no pain of betrayal, only an urge to laugh. Truly a family, equally selfish, equally callous. I decided to turn the tables. Covering my chest, showing a heartbroken expression, voice trembling, fine, Eric, you did this behind my back. Since you treat me like this, I have nothing to linger for. I'll fulfill you." I turned back to the room, took out the divorce agreement, and devastatedly added a clause: male party voluntarily waives all property as compensation for female party's mental damage. I slammed the agreement on the coffee table. "Where's Eric? Get him here now to sign. I don't want to see your family for another minute." Chloe, hearing I agreed to him leaving with nothing, was immediately overjoyed. She didn't want to bear property division lawsuits with Eric, she just wanted to ascend quickly, become the legitimate wife. She immediately took out her phone, called Eric. "Eric. Your wife agreed to divorce, and you leave with nothing. Hurry over and sign. If not, I'll go to your company and make a scene, ruin you." On the other end, Eric, just out of detention, still racking his brains on how to deal with me, received double pressure from mistress and own mom. One side illusory half property, the other readily available big fat grandson. Linda cried on the phone, urging her son to come sign quickly, not miss her big grandson. Chloe screamed aside, threatening mutual destruction if not coming. At this moment, my enemies formed the strongest alliance for their respective interests. An hour later, Eric appeared at the door. Looking at me, his eyes complex, guilt, reluctance, but mostly helplessness of being cornered. Under Linda and Chloe's urging and supervision left and right, he finally gritted his teeth and signed his name on the leave with nothing divorce agreement. Looking at those three characters, my heart was calm. The divorce problem troubling me for days was solved effortlessly by a sudden mistress. Truly ironic. Take your time, now see off. Holding the glaring red divorce certificate, standing at the Civil Affairs Bureau door, I gave a sincere smile to the ashen-faced Eric family. Chloe impatiently linked Eric's arm, like a victor, arrogantly glancing at me. Linda joyfully stroked Chloe's belly, as if already seeing her big fat grandson. They probably thought divorce was just the start. Next was legitimately moving into my house, waiting for my $800,000 investment to mature, then finding ways to share a portion. They were too naive. The day after getting the divorce certificate, I took a day off. First thing, went to the real estate trading center, handled various property information changes, ensuring the house legally had no ties to Eric. Second, contacted the best locksmith, changed home to highest level security door lock. Third, contacted housekeeping company, packed all Eric and Linda's things into several large black garbage bags, piled beside the apartment building's trash bin. After all this, I ordered a sumptuous takeout for myself, sat in the clean living room, enjoying long-lost peace. In the evening, my phone rang. It was Eric. "Vivian. What do you mean? Why change the door lock? What about me, Chloe, and my mom's luggage? Where did you throw our things?" He roared furiously on the phone. I slowly sipped soup, calmly replying, "Eric, we're divorced. That house is my premarital property, you have no right to live there anymore. As for your things, aren't they just trash in your eyes? I helped throw them, no thanks needed." "You." He was too angry to speak. "Oh, right," I added, "that $800,000 investment matured today. But this money is now in my personal new account, no relation to you, not a dime. Advise you not to eye it anymore." Hanging up, I felt refreshed. But this was merely an appetizer. Next day at work, during lunch break, I entered the hospital's medical insurance office. Grace, in charge of liaison, was on good terms with me. I casually consulted her on a problem. "Grace, I have a friend in trouble. Her ex-husband's father has cancer, hospitalized. But her ex clearly can pay medical fees, has company shares etc., yet maliciously delays payment, sells misery everywhere, trying to scam insurance and crowdfunding. In this case, does our insurance side have any special audit process?" Grace was warm-hearted, immediately angry upon hearing. "Such people exist? Isn't this insurance fraud? Too hateful." She operated the computer right away. "Tell me your friend's ex-father-in-law's name and hospitalization number, I'll check. For such suspected fraud with payment ability but malicious arrears, we have special investigation process. All reimbursements will be temporarily frozen, requiring detailed income proof, asset proof, will joint check with banks, industry/commerce, audit process becomes extremely cumbersome and long." "Okay, Grace, thank you so much." I gratefully noted every word she said. In the afternoon, I received Kelly's call. She cried on the phone. Hospital notified them, due to account anomaly, father-in-law's insurance reimbursement frozen, all fees self-paid, previous arrears must be cleared immediately, or medication stopped or even discharged. While listening to her sobs, I calmly pruned the pothose on my desk. Is that so? That's really bad. Meanwhile, a post titled "A Woman Whose Life Was Ruined by a Phoenix Man and Vampire In-Laws" began fermenting on several local famous forums and Weibo Big V accounts. The poster claimed to be top head nurse Vivian's best friend. The post detailed my father's serious illness, how Eric only gave 1/10, coldly watched. It also narrated after his father got sick, how their family forced me to sell house, made trouble at my unit, after divorce still wanted to occupy my property. The post attached all evidence, Eric's indifferent recording, family group chat screenshots, photos of him holding banner in hospital, leave with nothing divorce agreement. The most explosive was the anonymous reveal of Eric's marital affair causing mistress pregnancy, even posting HD photos from my door surveillance when Chloe was triumphant at my home. One stone stirred thousand waves. Eric family's previous online crowdfunding link for fundraising was dug out by angry netizens. Comment section instantly cursed with tens of thousands. Pa. Has money to buy bags for mistress, makes wife sell house to save dad? What trash man? Such people dare fundraise? Wish your family explodes on spot. Platform seal this scammer quick. Don't chill real needy hearts. Soon, the fundraising link was forcibly closed by officials due to excessive reports. Eric family's names became synonyms for shameless and selfish online. They wanted to transfer hospital, escape this face-losing place. After learning, I specially went to the ward to visit. I kindly told them, Uncle George now, lung infection severe, vital signs very unstable. Long-distance transfer risk extremely high, frankly, any responsible hospital won't easily accept such patient. My words completely cut off their retreat. Trapped in the hospital cage, money depleted day by day. Hope eroded bit by bit. Linda and Chloe, the two women once allied for big fat grandson, began fierce infighting over money issues. Chloe demanded Eric give remaining money for her prenatal checks, buy supplements. Linda cried to keep money for husband's painkillers. Home daily chaos, no peace. Soon after, Eric's company directly fired him due to adverse social impact from this online event. He was completely unemployed. While my life got better and better. My dad, under the best rehabilitator I hired, recovered very fast, already able to walk downstairs with crutches himself. Weekends, I took him to suburban parks for sun. I photographed him in wheelchair, behind full garden spring, face with long-lost smile. I posted the photo on Moments, caption, sunshine just right, everything getting better. I knew Eric's sister Kelly was still in my Moments. Eric completely collapsed. Mistress Chloe, confirming he lost all value, no money, no house, no job, bearing infamy, decisively aborted the boy once seen by Linda as family hope. She took Eric's remaining deposits after selling car, blacklisted all his contacts, disappeared without trace. As if she never appeared. Father-in-law's condition worsened in intermittent treatment. Hospital issued several critical notices. Each thin paper like a boulder on Eric's back. Under huge pressure, this once arrogant man before me finally broke. He began frantically calling me, sending messages. Calls, I ignored all. Messages, glanced and deleted. Contents nothing but late, cheap repentances. Vivian, I was wrong, really wrong. I miss you, remember when we just married, you waited for me every night after work. I was truly possessed back then, I'm not human. Please, give me another chance, for the sake we once loved. Looking at these words, my heart had no waves, even found them laughable. People only cherish after losing. But his cherishing, to me, had no meaning anymore. That night, outside poured heavy rain. Eric came again. He didn't pound door or curse, just stood silently like a statue in the rain curtain downstairs. From curtain gap, I watched him. Soaked through, hair plastered to forehead, rainwater flowing down his gaunt cheeks, indistinguishable from tears. His once straight posture now hunched, appearing so wretched, so pitiful. But my heart was hard as stone. He stood downstairs all night. Next morning, as I went out to work, he staggered over, blocking me. He had high fever, lips cracked, eyes bloodshot, haggard like a vagrant. Vivian. His voice hoarse, with heavy nasal tone. I looked at him expressionlessly, waiting for him to continue. Vivian, I was wrong, really wrong. With a thud, he knelt before me. The man who once made me kneel now knelt before me. He cried like a child, tears and snot flowing. My dad, he's almost gone, doctor says, just these days. I have nothing left, no job, no money, no home. I beg you, give me another chance, let's remarry, okay? I swear, I'll treat you well from now on, and your dad. I'll be your ox and horse. Hugging my leg, just like I hugged his back then. Karma turns precisely. I quietly watched him, this once familiar humble appearance, but my heart was dead silent indifference. I slowly spoke, voice terrifyingly calm. Eric, do you know? 3 months ago, the day my dad was pushed into or for cerebral infarction rescue, doctor told me, 10 minutes later, even immortals couldn't save. In that life and death 10 minutes, what was I thinking? Eric was stunned, lifted head, blankly looking at me. I bent down, close to his ear, in voice only we could hear, word by word, I was thinking, if my dad is gone, I'd go to kitchen take the sharpest boning knife. Kill you, kill your mom. Then, suicide. My tone was flat, like saying something unrelated to me. But each word carried cold, bone-piercing hatred. Eric stiffened, pupils contracting sharply. He looked at me incredulously, as if seeing me for the first time. He probably never thought his casual decision back then, that utmost benevolence 14,000, had stirred such bloody, desperate killing intent in my heart. He was stunned, for the first time truly realizing how much harm he caused me and my family. That harm couldn't be erased by I was wrong or a nightess. It was hatred engraved in bones. I straightened, stepped back, distancing. Looking at him kneeling, dejected, I softly said, your repentance, too late. Also too cheap. After saying, I didn't look anymore, turned into elevator, pressed close door. Elevator door slowly closed, completely isolating his desperate face from my world. Eric's repentance didn't earn my forgiveness, instead plunging him deeper into despair. Watching father-in-law's days counting down, their family was at wit's end. At this time, mother-in-law Linda thought of her last move. Through a mutual distant relative, she arranged to meet me. Location was a noisy fast food restaurant. Days unseen, Linda seemed aged 20 years. Hair gray, eyes turbid, face full of deep wrinkles, former shrewishness and shrewdness replaced by end-of-road decadence. She ordered me a hot drink, face squeezing a smile uglier than cry. Vivian, Mom knows, you still hate us. I said nothing, just quietly watched, wanting to see what trick she still wanted. She rubbed hands, expression mysterious and struggling. Actually, there's something we've always hidden from you. George's illness isn't accidental. I raised eyebrow, interested. When young, he worked in a chemical factory. Factory good benefits, but heavy pollution. His lung disease is occupational from then. Back then, factory had incidents, later restructured and relocated, gave old employees two choices. Either take over 100,000 compensation, but sign agreement, future body problems unrelated to factory. Or, no compensation, but a replacement slot to city, solving urban hookup and job. Linda here, turbid eyes flashed light. We then, eyes full on Eric. He poor studies, lifetime no prospects in countryside. We thought, as long as he enters city, has iron rice bowl, our old couple's life worth it. So, George, he chose the second option. He signed the agreement, waived all claims, gave the only city entry chance to Eric. After saying, she looked expectantly at me, as if telling a great, tragic sacrifice. She thought this four-son touching story could move me, see their hardships, soften, change mind. But after hearing, I felt physiological nausea. What great sacrifice. This was clearly the world's most selfish, stupidest trade. For son's illusory future, unhesitatingly sacrifice husband's health, even his future life-saving money. This family's root was rotten from the start. Their values twisted to the bone. My heart had no sympathy, instead saw a new, more perfect revenge point. My face unchanged, even showed just right shock and moved. So that's it. I asked softly, that factory, what's its name? Is that agreement still there? Linda thought my attitude softened, saw hope, immediately spilled all unguarded. Called HX Chemical Factory. Later renamed HX Chemical Group. The agreement of course there, George treasured it locked in hometown box. I went back days ago, just brought it. She thought this agreement proved their great sacrifice, my change of heart chip. I got all wanted info, stood from seat. I said to her, "Thank you, Auntie. Thank you for telling me this. This is very useful to me." I turned and left, leaving Linda in stun and confusion, not reacting to my words' implication. She didn't know, what she handed me wasn't an olive branch to win me back. I delayed not a bit. Out of fast food, I immediately acted. I didn't appear myself, but anonymously posted HX chemical factories passed on a occupational disease claim mutual aid forum, left contact. Soon, several old workers from then contacted me. Many of them over years successively got various respiratory diseases, even cancer. Because signed that agreement back then, they thought no claim right, could only struggle in poverty and illness. I recorded their situations one by one. Then, I self-paid for the industry's best administrative litigation lawyer. I gave him all info Linda told, and collected other victim workers' materials. Lawyer studied George's treasured wave claim agreement, gave an exciting conclusion. "Ms. Vivian, this agreement is legally invalid." Lawyer explained, according to Chinese law, employers' compensation responsibility for workers' occupational diseases is statutory mandatory, cannot be exempted or evaded by any agreement. This so-called wave claim agreement violates legal mandatory provisions. From signing moment, it's waste paper. Great. My mouth finally showed true smile. Next, I packaged all organized evidence, including father-in-law's records, that invalid agreement, other victims' materials and miserable status, sent to my university classmate. She now is the province's most influential social news column chief reporter. My classmate, after seeing all materials, indignant, immediately said would do a deep report. 3 days later, an article titled "Selling Father's Health for Son's Future?" The occupational disease sorrow behind an invalid agreement launched synchronously on TV and online. Report detailed HX chemical factory's history, interviewed several pain-afflicted victim workers, had lawyer interpret the agreement's invalidity legally. Report hid my father-in-law's real name, but highlighted Eric replacing father's slot for city work detail. Report out, public opinion uproar. If before, Eric family was just scum on family morals, then this time, they were nailed on legal and public moral judgment pillar. My God, for son's job slot, sell dad's life? Is this human? Such son exchanging father's health for work, dares cry poor online? Strongly demand pursue chemical factory and such conspirators legal responsibility. Online opinion storm, 10 times fiercer than last. HX Chemical Group, now City Star Enterprise, values image most. Under huge opinion pressure, group issued statement next day, announcing special team to reassess and compensate all affected workers back then. But in statement's end, they sternly stated, for families like Eric's, who actively waived compensation and did illegal transactions with individual factory leaders back then, group not only won't compensate, but reserves right to pursue legal responsibility. This statement was fatal blow to Eric family. Eric's iron rice bowl from replacement slot couldn't be kept due to this event. Unit dismissed him for personal history issues causing serious negative impact to unit. He might face relevant department's investigation and accountability for that dishonorable transaction back then. Mother-in-law Linda, seeing the statement on TV, went completely mad. She rushed to hospital, wanting to fight me desperately, but blocked by security outside. Through glass door, she roared and cursed at me. She couldn't understand how the huge secret she said to win me back became the death knell ending her family. Father-in-law George ultimately died. Without money to renew, stopping all targeted drugs and expensive treatments, he didn't make it through that winter. Due to owing hospital large fees, his funeral was extremely shabby and hasty. No decent farewell ceremony, only sparse relatives, and Eric, Linda's numb figures. I went. As ex-wife. I didn't approach, just had flower shop send a white wreath, quietly placed in corner. On the wreath's elegy, for words I wrote, "Safe journey." Linda saw me, rushed like mad. Eyes blood red, hair disheveled, like a ghost from hell. Vivian. You poisonous woman. You executioner. You killed my husband. Satisfied? She roared, extending nails to scratch my face, but held tightly by relatives nearby. Looking at her, face expressionless, I faintly said, "Who killed him wasn't me, but yourselves. It was you 30 years ago, for Eric's so-called future, personally buried thee. It was you 3 months ago, when my dad was on the line, set the rules. My words stopped Linda's wailing abruptly. She was stunned, as if all strength drained, limp in relatives' arms. Eric slowly walked before me. Emaciated, out of shape, sunken eyes, gaze empty like soulless puppet. Looking at me, voice hoarse like sandpaper rubbing. Satisfied? Family ruined, people dead, is this the result you wanted? I finally looked him in the eye, staring at those eyes I once loved and hated. I never wanted this result. From start to end, I wanted only my dad alive. It was you all, who personally blocked all paths. I paused, word by word, clearly presenting this revenge's logical loop before him. Eric, back then under your mom's instigation, when you pulled that card from wallet, threw me 14,000, you should have thought. Once rules set, they apply to all. After saying, I didn't look anymore, turned and left. I didn't look back. I could hear behind Eric's uncontrollable, desperate cries, and Linda's intermittent, vicious curses. 1 year later. In city center's most upscale office building, my WQ Family Care Center officially opened. Relying on years of connections and top professional skills from top hospital, the center specializes in high-end, professional home care for severe and post-op patients. I invested all $800,000 from that product into this career I love. Open less than half year, center gained fame in industry, business growing daily, rave reviews. My dad's body, under my careful care, fully recovered. His daily greatest joy now is coming to my office, helping manage plants, then brewing tea, wearing reading glasses to read books and papers. Smiles on face more than ever. I changed to a white SUV for myself. Weekends, no more exhausting night shifts. I'd take my dad to suburbs fishing, neighboring city C. At an industry exchange meeting, I met someone. He is a partner at a well-known law firm, gentle and elegant, with extraordinary conversation. Coincidentally, he was the lawyer who helped me handle the HX chemical incident back then. He admires my independence and resilience, and I also admire his professionalism and sense of justice. We started dating, eating out, watching movies, everything naturally progressed, coming to fruition. My social circle is no longer filled with work complaints and trivial daily life. Replaced by the thriving new career, warm travel photos with my father, and occasional flowers representing new romance. Every photo is filled with sunshine and hope. Former sister-in-law Kelly never deleted my WeChat. She probably wanted to see how miserable I'd be after losing their Sioux family. Instead, she saw a completely unfamiliar, radiant me. In a rundown low-rent apartment, she handed the phone to Eric, who was eating instant noodles. Eric looked at the photo of me with exquisite makeup, confident smile, successful career, then at his mother beside him with eyes full of venom, aged and haggard, and the less than 30 square meter, dim and damp rental room before him. The huge contrast made the instant noodle bowl in his hand drop with a clang to the ground. Soup and noodles spilled everywhere, like his current messy life. Regret, jealousy, reluctance, various emotions gnawed at his heart like venomous snakes. That late night, I received his last message. Vivian, I saw your care center, doing really well. Can I go there as a caregiver? I can do anything, not afraid of dirt or fatigue, as long as I can watch you from afar. Looking at this message humble to the dust, I was expressionless. Then, I pressed that red button. Block, delete. Some people, some things, don't deserve to appear in my life again. They don't deserve a chance to start over.